Welcome to the No Views News. This program was created on Wednesday, April 21st, at 8:25 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, by Zeno Reader. There are 687 headlines from 108 feeds we check to build this automated report. Welcome to No Views, daily automated podcast news. The headlines in this super unknown daily news summary do not imply fact-checking or endorsement of ideas. The first headlines are from the current most popular news site, Yahoo News, with 175 million estimated monthly unique visitors. Cheers and Tears 2 and George Floyd Square as guilty verdict read, light will defeat dark. Colorado tightens gun regulations to prevent future loss of life. Black teenage girl in Ohio shot dead by police as Derek Chauvin jury returns verdict. Letters to the editor, don't forget that Derek Chauvin had 18 complaints before he killed George Floyd. Fact check, President Biden and Kamala Harris did not fly aboard Air Force One together. Fox News host Greg Gutfeld says he was glad about the Derek Chauvin verdict even if he might not be guilty of all charges because my neighborhood was looted. Fox News Janine Pirro says facts clearly supported Chauvin's conviction. A semi-truck drove through a crowd celebrating the conviction of Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis. It's unclear if anyone was hurt. Nevada teen suffers seizures, brain clots after J&J vaccine. House call, embracing my outdoor persona. The next headlines are from the second most popular news website at this time, with 150 million unique monthly visitors, Google News. Mocking the Mocs, Kuiper and McShay go 3 rounds for the Bears, win the City Gridiron. China's Xi Jinping to speak at a U.S.-led climate summit on Thursday, CNBC. iPad Pro, Apple TV 4K, AirTags, M1 iMac, Apple's spring event lineup WSJ, Wall Street Journal. Golden Globes, HFPA in crisis as famed fixer, D&I advisor quit exclusive, Hollywood Reporter. Columbus police shooting updates, and says teen girl killed, crowd protests, the Columbus Dispatch. Raiders Mark Davis defends I can breathe tweet after Derek Chauvin found guilty in George Floyd's death, Fox News. Netflix plunges after pandemic boom shutters to near halt, Yahoo Finance. Super League chaos as Manchester City, Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea plan exit, ESPN. Navalny's supporters fear Russia's Putin wants him dead, BBC News. Nevada teen suffers seizures, brain clots after J&J vaccine, Associated Press. The following headlines are from the third most popular news website, with 110 million unique monthly visitors, The Huffington Post. Rep. Val Demings goes off on Jim Jordan in fiery shouting match about policing. Las Vegas Raiders excoriated for bizarre tweet after Chauvin verdict. I wish I were relieved. 15-year-old girl reportedly killed by Columbus police on afternoon of Chauvin verdicts. One guilty verdict, and what it means for all black people's innocence. George Floyd's family reacts to Derek Chauvin's guilty verdict. Greg Gutfeld's ugly take on Derek Chauvin verdict noticeably stuns Fox News hosts. President Joe Biden calls Chauvin verdict a step forward. Kamala Harris says Chauvin verdict is an inflection moment, as there's more work. Obama says jury did the right thing in convicting Derek Chauvin. The next headlines are from the fourth most popular news website, with 95 million estimated unique monthly visitors, CNN. 2 charged W attacking jail officer during riot. 2 die, child survives after boat capsizes. Students begin search for 1983 murder victim. How the pandemic is impacting teacher retention. Video to be released of deputy who killed man. Dad pulls gun to protect family in shooting. Detectives crack 36-year-old murder case. Couple wants refund after paying for credit repair. Texan on medication dies of COVID after vaccine. High school students walk out of classes to call for racial justice. The next headlines are from the fifth most popular news website at this time, with 70 million estimated unique monthly visitors, The New York Times. 3 guilty verdicts for one crime, here's why and what it means for sentencing. Teenage girl is fatally shot by the police in Columbus, officials say. Johnson & Johnson to resume its vaccine rollout in Europe. Derek Chauvin verdict brings a rare rebuke of police conduct. The death of George Floyd reignited a movement. What happens now? Biden and Harris on the Chauvin trial verdict. We matter. Derek Chauvin verdict brings collective relief. Netflix's dominance starts to slow as rivals gain. 13 key moments from the Derek Chauvin trial. How I'm talking to my kids about the Derek Chauvin verdict. The following headlines are from the sixth most popular news website, with an estimated 65 million monthly unique visitors, Fox News. De Blasio, NYPD ask NYC TV stations to keep copters clear of demonstrations to avoid heightening tensions. New York City protests ramp up following Derek Chauvin verdict. Candace Owens slams Democrats, media for mob justice in Derek Chauvin trial. Leo Terrell, Biden, Democrats' reaction to Chauvin verdict shows you cannot satisfy these extremists. George W. Bush comments on Matthew McConaughey's potential run for governor of Texas, it's a tough business. Hannity blasts Biden for describing last year's violent protests as in peace and with purpose. Maxine Waters takes victory lap on MSNBC after House GOP's failed effort to censure her over remarks. Chauvin jury faced enormous amount of pressure to reach right verdict, Miranda Devine. New York BLM protesters heckle taqueria diners, Stadium, out of New York. Knicks beat Hornets 109-97, run winning streak to 7 games. You are hearing today's top news headlines and more. Today is Wednesday, April 21st. The next headlines are from the seventh most popular news website, with 63 million estimated monthly unique visitors, CBS News. NFL, NBA, NHL, MLBPA issue statements following Derek Chauvin's guilty conviction in murder of George Floyd. Baseball report, Yankees not looking like much of a contender. Archaeological home site discovery linked to Maryland abolitionist Harriet Tubman. Earth Day, future of solar energy looking brighter. I wanted to be a witness, pilgrimages being made to George Floyd Square ahead of Chauvin verdict. New federal program to help struggling restaurants hit hard by COVID pandemic. Texas Securities Commissioner issues emergency order to stop fraudulent cryptocurrency trading program. Police responding to intruder call bust down door, to find robot vacuum as culprit. Skydiver dies as parachute gets tangled on the way down at California Parachute Center. Gender X option now available on New Jersey driver's licenses and IDs. The next headlines are from the eighth most popular news website, with an estimated 53 million monthly unique visitors, Mail Online, the Daily Mail. Derek Chauvin faces up to 75 years behind bars. Stars react as Derek Chauvin is found guilty on all 3 charges in death of George Floyd. Derek Chauvin found guilty on all 3 charges of murder and manslaughter in death of George Floyd. The damning police bodycam footage that found Derek Chauvin guilty of murder. Derek Chauvin, a bullying loner and police veteran of 19 years. Cities across the U.S. cheer Derek Chauvin guilty verdict for murdering George Floyd. Cop is filmed standing over the body of a 2015-year-old girl who he just shot dead. Gwyneth's very goopy shopping guide for post-pandemic life. Derek Chauvin has his bail revoked and is taken to Oak Park Heights Prison. Just 32 Britons have been hospitalized with coronavirus after being vaccinated. The following headlines are from the ninth most popular news website, with an estimated 47 million monthly unique visitors, The Washington Post. This is The Washington Post World News Feed. The pandemic's chilling effect on free speech. COVID-19 live updates. India's raging virus surge tops 200,000 new cases for 7th straight day. Verdict heard around the world. Global reactions to the George Floyd case. With most adults now vaccinated, Israelis are busting loose. Intense Russia. Putin plans major speech as foes call for protests to back imprisoned Navalny. Carbon emissions on track to surge as world rebounds from pandemic. Further evidence in case against Indian activists accused of terrorism was planted, new report says. Elephants trample suspected rhino poacher to death in South African National Park. Idris Deby, repressive president who ruled Chad for 30 years, dies at 68. Exasperated Canadians watch Americans getting vaccinated faster. The next headlines are from the 10th most popular news website, which has an estimated 42 million monthly unique visitors, The Guardian. This is The Guardian's U.S. news feed. Derek Chauvin found guilty of George Floyd's murder. China's Xi Jinping to attend Joe Biden's climate summit. Super League plan facing collapse as Premier League clubs withdraw, as it happened. Is sitting still slowly killing us? Podcast. My brother got justice. George Floyd's family praises guilty verdict. Police fatally shoot 15-year-old girl in Columbus, Ohio. Today's verdict isn't justice, but accountability is a first step to Justice Keith Ellison. Democrats block Republican bid to censure Maxine Waters over Chauvin remarks. I cried so hard. Teen who filmed killing of George Floyd celebrates guilty verdict. People around the United States react to the Derek Chauvin guilty verdict. The following headlines are from the 12th most popular news website, with an estimated 36 million monthly unique visitors, ABC News. He's in history. George Floyd's family reacts to Derek Chauvin guilty verdict. Here's how long Derek Chauvin could spend in prison. 1 dead, 2 hurt in supermarket office shooting, employee apprehended, police. Live, ABC News Live. Netflix's subscriber growth, stock zapped as pandemic eases. Foxconn deal with Wisconsin lowers tax breaks to $80 million. Teen's death puts focus on split-second police decisions. The next headlines are from the 13th most popular news website, with an estimated 35 million monthly unique visitors, the BBC News. Is the Australia-NZ travel bubble the way ahead? Middle East states dominate list of top executioners in 2020, Amnesty. Idris Deby, Chad's future rocked by president's battlefield death. Navalny's supporters fear Russia's Putin wants him dead. U.S. jury finds Derek Chauvin guilty of all counts. COVID-19 in India, why second coronavirus wave is devastating. Coronavirus, the passport helping Denmark open up after COVID. Oscars 2021, the lowdown on the international feature nominees. Surfer reunited with big waveboard discovered 2,700 kilometers away. The beauty ideal fueling an illicit drugs trade. The following headlines are from the 14th most popular news website, with an estimated 34 million monthly unique visitors, USA Today. Today in history for April 21st. Derek Chauvin led away in handcuffs after guilty verdict in Minneapolis courtroom. 5 years after Prince's death, it's devastating. After Chauvin's guilty verdict, a trial for American policing, the struggle for public trust begins anew. More work to be done. Derek Chauvin murder conviction brings relief, resolved to keep fighting for justice in George Floyd's name. Across the U.S., a tidal wave of joy fills city streets after Derek Chauvin is convicted in the death of George Floyd. Derek Chauvin found guilty on all counts in the murder of George Floyd. Live updates. Derek Chauvin found guilty of murder in George Floyd's death. What else was he convicted of? Police officer shot and killed teenager in Columbus, Ohio, family member says. Mayor of St. Paul reflects on Chauvin conviction. The next headlines are from the 15th most popular news website, with an estimated 35.5 million monthly unique visitors, the LA Times. Column, with Chauvin's conviction, justice was served for once, I'll cheer when it's the norm. Column, finally, at least for this moment, justice prevailed in Minneapolis. Guilty on all charges, echoes across Leimert Park with joy and relief. Kristen Smart's body may have been recently moved from under home's deck, DA alleges. Garcetti's proposed city budget slightly increases spending for Los Angeles Police Department. Can LA really clear homeless people from Skid Row by October? Here's what we know. Class action settlement against former UCLA gynecologist a travesty, lawyers say. At flashpoint of George Floyd protests, Fairfax Avenue reacts to verdict with relief. LA temporarily closes Dodger Stadium, other vaccination sites after Chauvin verdict. Brush fire erupts in Lincoln Heights, burning to homes. We hope you are enjoying this news podcast. Today is Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. You just heard from the top 15 most popular news websites in the world. More, from other news sources, is up next. Next, Reddit World News. Reddit is a user collective which claims over 430 million active users per month, and these are the top voted stories today. Czech Republic threatens to expel all Russian diplomats over Moscow's alleged involvement in 2014 explosions. Ukraine says Russia will soon have over 120,000 troops on its borders. Nuclear weapons. Top military official warns China and Russia are modernizing faster than U.S. Russia's Putin to address nation as mass Navalny protests are planned. President Volodymyr Zelensky on Tuesday invited Russian leader Vladimir Putin to meet in war-torn eastern Ukraine, stressing that millions of lives were at stake from fresh fighting the separatist conflict. Amid silence, Cuba calls on Biden to end cruel blockade to swap to change. Russian prosecutors move to liquidate Navalny's extremist movement. Women held in sexual slavery by Ethiopian and Eritrean troops, they face constant gang rape and torture. Navalny's doctors prevented from seeing him at prison clinic. An international team of researchers has found evidence suggesting that the P.1 coronavirus variant that was first seen in parts of Brazil may be up to twice as transmissible as prior strains. YouTube shuts down prominent Nigerian megachurch preacher's channel for gay-curing claims. Alexei Navalny's close friend tells Biden admin to hold Putin accountable before Navalny dies. U.S. warns airlines on flights near Ukraine-Russian border. Russia imposes TV blackout on Alexei Navalny amid fears he could die any day. U.S. waiting for Philippines to call for help versus Chinese sea incursion. The Pentagon is communicating with the Philippine military and recently deployed aircraft carrier strike group led by the USS Theodore Roosevelt to the South China Sea. The next headlines are from Forbes. Women in Cannabis, 7 founders on breaking the glass ceiling and how to keep it broken. La Liga clubs behind Super League face more criticism despite its setback. WWE NXT results, winners news and notes on April 20, 2021. Every single song on Astro's new #1 album is a bestseller on the Korean download chart. Facing criticism in Xinjiang, China moves on pigs and retail. China's sportswear billionaires cut into stake in sale nearing $1.5 billion. Fed still investigating George Floyd's death after Chauvin verdict, A.G. Garland says. House Democrat renews push to expel Marjorie Taylor Greene after America First caucus uproar. Netflix shares plummet after Q1 subscriber miss, but buybacks coming. Biden, Harris call on Congress to pass police reform following Chauvin guilty verdict. The next headlines are from Nature.com. Rivers give off stealth carbon at night. Flying a helicopter on Mars, NASA's ingenuity. Elusive cancer cells dissected using developmental biology toolkit. Blanket bans on fossil fuel funds will entrench poverty. China should track impact of pollution on health and the environment. China's publications, fewer but better. Sharing COVID data, check these recommendations and guidelines. Support Myanmar's embattled scientists and students. The World Population Update. Currently, we are increasing by over 220,000 people a day, expecting to reach 8 billion in 2023. At the time this report was generated, the population was estimated to be 7,700,106,447 humans. Worldometers.info says there are 195 countries at this time and, of those, the top 10 with the largest populations are, in order, China, India, the United States, Indonesia, Pakistan, Brazil, Nigeria, Bangladesh, Russia, and then Mexico. The next headlines are from Variety. English soccer teams abandon plans to join rebel European Super League. A complex honor, an immigrant artist reflects on her Grammy nomination, guest column. Clive Davis sets Joni Mitchell, Paul Simon, H.E.R., Dabbleby and others for season's second pre-Grammy gala. As Oscar voting closes, members indicate father upsets, actress race down to Viola Davis and Frances McDormand. White Dave breaks down his tracks from Judas and the Black Messiah, Black Panther and Creed. Monty Hellman, Tulane Black top director, dies at 91. Netflix password sharing crackdown won't feel heavy-handed, co-CEO says. Super Bowl LV, NFL 360, ESPN Lee 2021 Sports Emmy nominations, full list. Fox News Derek Chauvin verdict coverage reveals the network isn't just divisive, it's divided. Viola Davis, Kerry Washington and more react to Derek Chauvin's guilty verdict. There is more fight ahead of us. The following headlines are from NPR, National Public Radio. Finally, America reacts to Chauvin guilty verdict. 16-year-old black girl who called for help, fatally shot by police, Ohio family says. Floyd brothers react to verdict, this is for everyone who has been held down. Obama UHS, Chauvin jury did the right thing but we cannot rest. Minnesota Attorney General calls Chauvin guilty verdict first step toward justice. Floyd's brother on verdict, I was just praying they would find him guilty. Crowds erupt in cheers in Minneapolis after guilty verdict. Jim Steinman, writer of operatic rock hits for Meat Loaf and Celine Dion, dies at 73. Democrats block McCarthy resolution to censure Maxine Waters over protest comments. Some CEOs are hearing a new message, act on climate, or we'll cut your pay. The following headlines are from The Week. Pelosi responds again to Chauvin verdict, this time saying George Floyd did not die in vain. Teen who recorded George Floyd's arrest reacts to Chauvin verdict, justice has been served. Biden says Chauvin's guilty verdict sends the message no one should be above the law. Harris presses Senate to pass George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, the work is long overdue. George Floyd's brother Rodney calls Chauvin's guilty verdict a victory for all of us. The incomplete justice of the Chauvin verdict. Jake Tapper resurrects original police statement on the George Floyd murder. Obama says justice is closer today because of Chauvin verdict and work of activists. Watch Biden, Harris called George Floyd's family after Chauvin verdict. The Chauvin verdict should be celebrated. The following headlines are from the Texas Observer. In San Antonio, police reformers square off with the cops union. The next headlines are from Universe Today. What if Starship didn't do a landing burn at all? One idea to explain dark matter, ultralight bosons, fails the test. Meteorites hold early atmospheres from across the solar system. These are the news headlines for today, Wednesday, April 21st. This podcast is produced only in English at this time. As of 2020, the Ethnologue reference lists 7,117 different human languages, with English being the third most common, after Mandarin Chinese and Spanish. The following headlines are from earthsky.org. New Horizons passes milestone distance 50. How many Tyrannosaurus Rex lived on Earth? Celebrate Earth Day 2021 with NASA. What are Lunar X and Lunar V? 2021 Lyrid meteor shower, all you need to know. Dates of lunar and solar eclipses in 2021. The next news is from Politico. Ukrainian president invites Putin for talks in conflict zone. Iran nuclear talks make progress, will reconvene next week. Why Boris Johnson is dropping everything for soccer. Biden's first 100 days. Corporate America boosts Biden's inaugural committee. Mark McCloskey, gun-toting St. Louis lawyer, considering Senate bid. Few options seen for Chauvin appeal. Chauvin is guilty, now comes the hard road ahead. The Chauvin verdict, the terrain going forward will not be the same. Gasoline on top of that fire, why the White House wanted to avoid the refugee issue. The next headlines are from the Sydney Morning Herald in Australia. George Floyd case live updates, former police officer Derek Chauvin found guilty of murder. Brett Forte inquest live updates, cops bus encountered gunmen in pub toilets. Heating up, Bulldogs ready to handle Giants' physical love. It's a little bit of history repeating in Credit Suisse's litany of losses. Justice delivered, disaster averted, America believes its own eyes. Anyone can promise Ferraris, inside the fight to control the NSW Firefighters Union. The verdict, George Floyd's life mattered, and a grieving family finds justice. Couldn't be happier, Sutton gets jab as mass vaccination centers open. Farmers demand future coal and gas mine ban after Shenhu buyout. Like a Bourne movie about the real world, Khashoggi murder doco is astonishing. The next headlines are from MarketWatch. China Xi will speak at Biden's virtual climate summit. IPO report, UPath IPO, 5 things to know about the software robots company valued at nearly $30 billion. Despite falling unemployment, America's poverty rate just reached the highest level since the pandemic began. Biden to pledge having U.S. greenhouse gases by 2030. Exxon floats idea for $100 billion private-public carbon capture hub, largest of its kind. Netflix predicts worst quarter for streaming growth in its history, stock falls 9%. Capitol Report, this can be a moment of significant change, Biden, Harris call on Congress to act on police reform after Chauvin verdict. MarketWatch first take, there is a new normal for Netflix, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. Mark Hulbert, high momentum stocks have been losing steam and this could be signaling a market top. The margin, accountability, but not justice, Sanders, Pelosi, Zuckerberg and other leaders react to Chauvin verdict. Next, the top stories about patents and inventions. Patent for patients, a boon for cancer immunotherapy, BioBuzz. MedPharm granted patent for unique powdered cannabinoid and terpene extract, Valdosta Daily Times. Damages awarded based on lead equipped TV for lead patent infringement, managing intellectual property. The government should stop threatening startups' IP rights, Federal News Network. 5G RAN developments, landscape and liability, IPWatchdog.com. Lynch LLP continues commitment to entrepreneurs and local startups with UC Riverside's Creator Lab, iNews. Core to decide whether an inventor may challenge the validity of the patent on the inventor's own invention, SCOTUS blog. Apple 196 patents today for inventions relating to Face ID, a prescription lens system for an HMD, AirPods Max and more, patently Apple. Dematic releases limited edition in Credo spreads, PR Newswire. Aurora Mobile partners with new energy vehicle manufacturer Hicken to boost AI-powered smart driver experiences, StreetInsider.com. The next headlines are from Quartz. Chauvin prosecutor Keith Ellison makes a powerful call for the work of our generation. How the U.S. ranks among other wealthy countries on police killings. Sorrow, joy, and relief, photographs of Americans reacting to the guilty Chauvin verdicts. The vital importance of talking about the Chauvin verdict at work. COVID-19 vaccines aren't making any money for Johnson & Johnson. Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all charges in the murder of George Floyd. Why Amazon keeps failing at video games. Why it's so hard to get a new bike right now. Soccer's controversial European Super League fell apart within 48 hours. How to manage up and across in the workplace. The following headlines are from TechDirt. Appeals Court, no immunity for cops who punched a man hanging from a second-story window and tased him when he hit the ground. TechDirt Podcast Episode 279, How Rights Went Wrong. Federal court tells Minnesota State Police to stop attacking, harassing, and arresting journalists covering protests. Apple tells Congress that it will re-allow Parler's app in the App Store, now that it has a moderation plan in place. Daily Deal, the CompTIA Security Infrastructure Expert Bundle. MyPillow CEO sues Dominion for violating his company's right to say the things about election fraud it definitely isn't saying. The GOP is using veterans as props to demonize net neutrality. Judge has some fun denying injunction requested by one brewery for another over trademark suit. We are now about 1/3 of the way through this daily news headlines podcast, a free service. Here, next, are the top trending keywords in Google web searches for today, a different window on world events. Chad. Al Sharpton. Netflix stock. News today. ABC News. NPR. Jim Steinman. CNN. NBC News. MSNBC. The next headlines are from RT, the first Russian news station in English. Publisher refuses to dump Mike Pence deal after protests from woke employees, despite recently canceling 2 other books. Protesters gather in Columbus, Ohio after police shoot 15-year-old black girl, video. Justice served, boxing legend Mike Tyson celebrates after Derek Chauvin is found guilty of murder over the death of George Floyd. The European Super League was unfathomable to anyone with common sense. Could it be the ultimate exercise in calling our bluffs? Giant step forward, Biden and Harris demand racial justice reforms and George Floyd's name after Chauvin verdict. Watch crowds in Minneapolis and around U.S. cheer Chauvin guilty verdict. We're also relieved, Biden and Harris hail Chauvin guilty verdict and call to George Floyd's family, video. Minneapolis jury finds ex-cop Derek Chauvin guilty on all charges in death of George Floyd. Oscar ceremony demands guests mask up, but only when cameras off. AOC's Green New Deal reintroduced as she claims trampling of indigenous rights and racial justice are causes of climate change. The next headlines are from Zero Hedge. Company sells sex robot clones of dead partners using 3D modeling technology. Here's what $1,000 invested in vaccine stocks would be worth now. The biggest threat to U.S. hegemony, China, Russia, or debt? Uninhabitable Bay Area shack listed for $575K. Watch, shocking clip shows children being paraded around drag queen show taking cash tips. While the economy collapsed in 2020, CEO pay surged. Lacaille, why the U.S. recovery is not that strong. Facebook plans to launch stablecoin that will compete with dollar early next year. BLS reveals that big city unemployment is much higher than the national average. Bill Gates criticized for blocking the equitable distribution of COVID vaccines. The following headlines are from Al Jazeera, Middle East News. Football Super League breakaway in ruins after English clubs quit. Ocean in crisis, global plan to protect world seas. South Korea muscles in on global arms trade. U.S. Jen McKenzie has grave doubts about Taliban's reliability. Still watching? Netflix shares plunge 13% as growth stalls. Unhappy Tesla customer gets company apology, 5-day detention. AOC, Democrats relaunch Green New Deal before climate summit. U.S. reserves 6,000 guest worker visas for Central Americans. Derek Chauvin found guilty of murdering George Floyd. U.S. reacts to guilty verdict in Chauvin trial. The next headlines are from Breitbart. Joe Biden pushes to confirm controversial Department of Justice picks in Derek Chauvin verdict speech. Watch, they shoot us, we shoot them, Columbus protester tells cops. Stacey Abrams on MLB All-Star Game boycott of Atlanta, one day of games is not worth losing our democracy. I can't breathe, LV Raiders blasted for reaction to Chauvin verdict. State Department warns Americans, do not travel to 80% of countries because of coronavirus. Watch, BLM yells all cops are beat-hard in Minnesota after Chauvin conviction. Federal judge, LA must house every homeless person on Skid Row by October 18. Report, Senator Mark Kelly undecided on D.C. statehood legislation. Watch, BLM chants FK the National Guard after Chauvin verdict in Minneapolis. Maxine Waters on Derek Chauvin verdict, I'm not celebrating, I'm relieved. The next headlines are from UPI News. Kansas woman's tire shop appointment leads to lottery jackpot. Watch, 20-year-old photos found in thrift store cookbook returned to family. Look, loose llama or alpaca found running on California highway. Watch, magnet fishermen find World War II-era artillery shell in Michigan River. Watch, police respond to report of home intruder, find robot vacuum. Watch, musician eases paragliding fears by playing violin. Watch, aggressive goose patrolling New Jersey diner parking lot. Watch, giant water monitor lizard surprises beach visitors in Thailand. The next headlines are from Odd, Strange and Bizarre Things. Fun plant facts for this spring season. 10 coolest restaurants around the world. The smallest airports from around the world. The following headlines are from goodnewsnetwork.org. Researchers find they can weaken fear memories, a discovery that could help treat trauma. After 4 winless years, he won the Masters and became the first Japanese man to win a golf major. Resurrecting an ancient fabric more precious than silk that hasn't been spun for centuries. To help protect your heart when stressed, scientists suggest eating or drinking these things. Restaurant wants to give burglar a second chance, offering him a job application. You're tuned to No Views, daily automated podcast news. This is a report for Wednesday, April 21st. Thank you for listening. The next headlines are from Reddit Offbeat News. Cannabis activist Todd Hinden offers free weed for vaccinated New Yorkers on 420. Man bitten while using barbecue tongs to remove rattlesnake. Company hiring full-time marijuana vaporizer tester, offering $42K salary. The identity hoaxers, what if people don't just invent medical symptoms to get attention, what if they feign oppression, too? 9 juveniles injured in gunfight that broke out at 12-year-old's birthday party. Scientists are burying 2,000 pairs of underpants in Switzerland. Monk chops off own head for good luck in the afterlife. A mail-led company in Germany just launched pink and heart-covered gloves for tampon removal. How MasterCard's rules could be used to ban the right from banking. Maldives to offer holidaymakers vaccines on arrival in a push to revive tourism. The next headlines are from a site called The Next Web. Everything Apple announced at its April 2021 iPad and iMac event. VanMoof bikes can now reach 155 miles of range with new power banks. France bans domestic flights that could be covered by train. The slim new iMac is powered by M1 and comes in 7 gorgeous colors. Watch NASA's autonomous helicopter take its first flight on Mars. Apple fires up the podcast war with subscriptions and in-app redesign. The new Apple TV 4K is here with a fresh remote and a $179 price tag. Apple's item tracking AirTag is finally here, and it costs $29. U.S. companies need to hold themselves accountable for racist algorithms, or the FTC will do it for them. Leverage data to increase traffic, drive sign-ups, and more with this Google Analytics training. The following headlines are from Science Daily. Predicting the next pandemic virus is harder than we think. Designing healthy diets with computer analysis. Drug development platform could provide flexible, rapid and targeted antimicrobials. Using engineering methods to track the imperceptible movements of stony corals. The immune link between a leaky blood-brain barrier and schizophrenia. Helpful, engineered living machines in the future? Food allergies, changes to infant gut bacteria linked to method of childbirth, ethnicity. Was Cascadia's 1700 earthquake part of a sequence of earthquakes? Undruggable cancer protein becomes druggable, thanks to shrub. Restoration efforts can brighten an ecosystem's future, but cannot erase its past. The next headlines are from Information Week. 10 things your artificial intelligence initiative needs to succeed. This is a reading of news headlines. This broadcast was created on Wednesday, April 21st from over 100 sources, to give you a bigger picture of the news. The next headlines are from the Salt Lake Tribune. A turning point in America, hundreds march to George Floyd mural in SLC. Utah leaders and groups react to guilty verdict in Derek Chauvin trial. Ex-cop Derek Chauvin guilty of murder and manslaughter in George Floyd case. Utah Jazz, NBA, and WNBA react to verdict in Derek Chauvin murder trial with relief and resolve. Murder case against ex-cop in Floyd's death goes to the jury. Almost 800,000 Utahns are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Bagley cartoon, justice served. Angela Dunn is quitting as state epidemiologist who leads Salt Lake County Health Department. Miters on Ilyasova's weekend performance versus Lakers spark a bigger role with the Utah Jazz down the stretch. Can Utah ignore federal laws that restrict gun rights? Lawmakers are asking. The next headlines are from Slashdot, Tech News for Nerds. Teaching children to play chess found to decrease risk aversion. Concept Audi A6 e-tron has headlights that can project video games. MI5 warns of spies using LinkedIn to trick staff into spilling secrets. Apple announces new Apple TV 4K with redesigned Siri remote. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki gets Freedom Expression Award sponsored by YouTube. Venmo to allow customers to buy, sell and hold cryptocurrencies. Hackers are exploiting a Pulse-secure zero-day to breach orgs around the world. Ransomware gang tried to extort Apple hours ahead of Tuesday event. Chat app Discord ends takeover talks with Microsoft. The new iPad Pro features Apple's M1 chip. The next headlines are from Fox St. Louis. Suspect wanted for stealing money from several car washes in Missouri and Illinois. Mother of 3 fearful of stray bullets hitting her housing unit, you paid for it takes action. Cold weather forced early season harvest of asparagus at Eckert's farm. 16-year-old girl killed in Ohio police shooting. 4 men celebrated for rescuing elderly couple from burning home in St. Peter's while others stopped for photos. Crowd gathers peacefully in downtown St. Louis in reaction to Derek Chauvin trial verdict. Derek Chauvin found guilty on all counts in the death of George Floyd. April snow showers moving through St. Louis, cold air to follow. Dr. Randall Williams steps down as Missouri's health director. Stray rescue St. Louis in desperate need of foster homes. These are the current headlines from the world's most interesting news websites. Thank you for listening. The next headlines are from Fox San Diego. President Biden, VP Harris address nation after Derek Chauvin verdict. Last week saw highest ever level of global COVID cases over 7-day period. Las Vegas Raiders receive backlash for tweet on Chauvin verdict. Man rescued after car lands in ocean in Carlsbad. Autopsy, woman whose body was pulled from water accidentally drowned. California driver accidentally drives into Mexico, says avoiding port of entry can be confusing. After Chauvin, Minnesota set to prosecute 3 other officers in Floyd death. Document, Kristen Smart once buried in suspect's backyard. Gloria expands city program that provides free Wi-Fi, hotspots. Local elected officials react to Chauvin conviction in George Floyd's killing. The next headlines are from spooknews.com. Former Clay Sheriff Daniels told investigators he sent mistress $60K over course of relationship. Czech PM's remarks on 2014 blasts trigger outrage, _split over Russia ties. IRA man saved MI6 spy boss Sir Maurice Oldfield from sniper attack. Stolen work van recovered, 2 men arrested after short police pursuit. Samsung is making sure that Galaxy Smart Tag Tracker isn't used for stalking. Unit 29155, the Russian spies specializing in sabotage and assassinations. Mortal Kombat star to lead new spy series. Royal family goes back to work amid mourning period for Prince Philip. Update 1 China-linked hackers used Pulse Secure flaw to target U.S. defense industry, researchers. MI5 warns of spies using LinkedIn to trick staff into spilling secrets. The following headlines are from Defense Blog. Rheinmetall, Northrop Grumman to cooperate on enhanced range artillery ammunition field. Belarus increases military activity across the country. Pentagon raised concerns over Russian military buildup on the border with Ukraine. Colombian fighters intercept Il-96 aircraft of Russia's main security agency. Boeing received $79.40 for support for Japanese KC-46A tankers. U.S. Navy awards contract to Huntington Ingalls for amphibious assault ship LHA-9. The next headlines are from SupChina, top news about China. All the electric car companies in China, a guide to the 27 top players in the Chinese EV industry. Q&A, Foremost Group CEO Angela Zhao on carrying on her family legacy and forging her own path. Chinese celebrity apologizes for texting employees at all hours after social media backlash. In China, delivery workers struggle against the rigged system. This is the No Views, daily automated podcast news. Today, in the GMT time zone, is Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. Now, more headlines. The next headlines are from KRON4 San Francisco. I broke down in tears too. Chauvin verdict triggers Bay Area families of men killed by police. Cannabis industry in San Francisco sees growth during pandemic. Justice can be served, civil rights attorney reacts to Chauvin verdict. Father angry after teacher cuts biracial daughter's hair. Global carbon emissions decreased by 6.4% amid COVID pandemic. George Floyd's girlfriend reacts to Derek Chauvin verdict. We cannot stop here, Biden, Harris react to Chauvin verdict. The next headlines are from the Daily Herald. PM Suga makes offerings at Yasukuni Shrine but doesn't visit. Carter scores first with Pittsburgh in 7-6 win over Devils. Silence, then cheers, relief washes over George Floyd Square. Urias gets better of Mariners, Gonzalez in 1-0 Dodgers win. Afghanistan withdrawal draws concerns over abducted Lombard man. COVID-19 spike at Hershey causes dozens to quarantine. Suburban COVID-19 case slowed down by nearly 11% from last week. More work to do, how suburban reps, others reacted to Chauvin verdict in Floyd case. More seniors could soon qualify for property tax freeze. House bill would guarantee admission to U of I system for some community college students. The following headlines are from Seattle PI. Washington leaders react to Derek Chauvin verdict with calls for racial justice. The next alerts are from the Global Disaster Alerting and Coordination System, a cooperative effort from disaster managers worldwide. Drought is ongoing in Algeria, Libya, Tunisia. Drought is ongoing in Angola, Congo, DRC. Drought is ongoing in Afghanistan, China, Iran, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. Drought is ongoing in Madagascar. Drought is ongoing in Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Turkey. Drought is ongoing in China, India, Nepal. Drought is ongoing in Mexico. Drought is ongoing in Mozambique. Green alert for tropical cyclones Yuragi 21. Population affected by Category 1, 120 km per hour, wind speeds or higher is 0. Drought is ongoing in Bolivia, Brazil. You are hearing the No Views, daily automated podcast news. Today is Wednesday, April 21st in the Greenwich Mean Time zone. Headlines here were found today in news feeds from around the world, but we do focus on the USA, one of the world's current 195 countries. Now, more news. The next headlines are from ABC Houston. HCSO releases bodycam video of deputy who killed man in mental health crisis. Columbus, Ohio police shoot, kill 15-year-old girl, reports. Black Lives Matter of Houston says guilty verdict is only the beginning. Bodycam videos haven't been released despite recommendations. Biden says verdict in Chauvin trial could be a step toward racial justice in America. Houston area leaders call Derek Chauvin trial verdict a defining moment. Oscars 2021, before taking center stage on Oscar Sunday, LA's Union Station was in spotlight in countless movies. Yates HS alumni hope social justice conversations continue after Chauvin trial. 1 dead, 2 wounded in shooting at Stop and Shop supermarket in West Hampstead, suspect in custody. Chicago area man with autism shares struggles, triumphs on life's journey. The following headlines are from China Post, top news about China, Taiwan and the world. Exclamation point, world should pay attention to Taiwan's drought, BBC. Irving leads short-handed Nets past Pelicans, 134-129. Mancini and Galvis homer to help Orioles beat Marlins 7-5. Raiders get backlash for tweet after conviction of officer. New Zealand to consolidate healthcare into national service. Boggart's 3-run HR, Rodriguez lift Bosix over Blue Jays 4-2. Posey hits 2 hours, Giants rally past Phillies late, win 10-7. Bailey, Beauvillier lead Islanders to 6-1 win over Rangers. The following headlines are from The Gothamist. After Chauvin verdict, mayoral candidates promise police reform. Derek Chauvin found guilty of murdering George Floyd, demonstrations planned in NYC. NY Women's Prison, housing mothers and newborns, hit by COVID-19 outbreak. NYC Muslims made plans for COVID-19 vaccinations during Ramadan, then came the J&J pause. Chef Wiley Dufresne teams up with Bread Bakery for a New York City-style pizza pop-up. Coronavirus statistics, tracking the epidemic in New York. NYC public libraries eye next phase of reopening. Greenpoint open streets war escalates as saboteur tosses barricades into Newtown Creek. Early edition, State Department will discourage travel to most other countries. Tri-State teens research and share insights on economic inequality in age of COVID. We hope you are enjoying this podcast. If you have a suggestion for a new RSS feed we should add, please leave it in a comment on our YouTube page. The next headlines are from globalissues.org. UN and partners welcome progress in Libya. UN chief deeply saddened by death of Chadian President Idriss Deby. USA, shackling of aged and infirmed inmate, Mumia Abu Jamal, deplorable say UN rights experts. UNICEF reports sharp rise in migrant children in Mexico. La Soufriere volcano, UN launches $29 million appeal to support stricken island of St. Vincent. World Food Program reaches deal to supply food to 185,000 children in Venezuela. No end to conflict in Ethiopia's Tigray region, warns UNICEF. Child trafficking in South Asia facilitated by open borders. Another false start in Africa sold with Green Revolution myths. Human rights experts demand UAE provide meaningful information on Sheikh Khalifa. The next headlines are from blacklistednews.com. Derek Chauvin found guilty of all 3 charges for killing George Floyd. Trudeau minister says internet censorship bill will make Canadians safer. Bill Gates criticized for blocking the equitable distribution of COVID vaccines. Facebook plans to launch stablecoin that will compete with dollar early next year. The following headlines are from Snopes, a fact-checking service. Crowds react with joy, wariness to verdict in Floyd's death. Did a Stanford new study conclude masks don't work? Will ex-Minneapolis cop Derek Chauvin spend life in prison? Did Portland mayor declare state of emergency after Antifa, BLM posters called for violence? Nevada teen suffers seizures, brain clots after J&J vaccine. Did the families of Emmett Till and George Floyd watch Chauvin verdict together? Did Nancy Pelosi thank George Floyd for sacrificing his life? In Minneapolis, city fortified after Chauvin guilty verdict. Did Min police say George Floyd died of medical incident during police interaction? The next headlines are from factcheck.org. In her own words, Maxine Waters. We are now about 2/3 of the way through today's news headlines. When everything is working, this feed will auto-update 3 times per day. Join us daily to stay informed. The next headlines are from the Daily Beast. Biden, George Floyd's death was murder in the full light of day. The crazy way $30 was stolen from safe deposit boxes. Greg Gutfeld implodes when asked if he's off his meds over Chauvin take. Derek Chauvin's guilty and so is the whole damn system. Lakers podcaster accused of catfishing her co-host in wild scheme, I was up one. Columbus police fatally shoot black teen who called them for help, and says. Dumber than a bag of rocks, how one prank caller turned Mike Lindell's telephone into comedy gold. Senator Warren's billionaire nemesis says he won't accept her invite to hearing. Today we are able to breathe again. This stretchy linen will be part of my summer uniform. The next headlines are from the New York Post. Minneapolis community celebrates Derek Chauvin conviction. Rangers stars crumble under pressure again in worrisome sign. Knicks bringing message to life again. Rangers fell apart after losing Jacob Trouba. Minneapolis top cop calls for healing, peace after Derek Chauvin verdict. The following headlines are from astronomy.com. Primordial black holes could explain dark matter, galaxy growth, and more. You're tuned to the No Views, daily automated podcast news. If you are hearing this, you found something super unknown. Congratulations. Now back to the headlines. The next science headlines are from CBS News. FDA orders Johnson & Johnson manufacturing plant to stop vaccine production. Fauci says COVID vaccines are key to normalcy amid vaccine hesitancy. Controlled fires designed to limit damage of wildfires. CBS News poll, Eye on Earth, what do Americans think can be done on climate? As carbon emissions surge, can China and Japan quit the coal? New video of Ingenuity's successful first flight, next mission could happen this week. All U.S. adults now eligible for COVID-19 vaccine. One senator's proposal to save forests and create jobs. Tyrannosaurs may have been social carnivores, not loner predators. U.S. expands vaccine eligibility as more than a dozen states report rise in COVID cases. The next headlines are from the New York Daily News. Shark attacks Hawaii woman, sends her to hospital. Derek Chauvin wrote lawyer's phone number on hand prior to guilty verdict. Police in Ohio shoot and kill teenage girl, shortly before Derek Chauvin verdict, reports. Dementia risk increases for middle-aged adults who sleep less than 6 hours a night. Terrifying video shows a railroad worker pulling a child out from the path of an incoming train. Parents and community demand answers after classmates and later teacher lop off biracial 6-year-old Michigan girl's curly locks. Archaeologists believe they found the home at Harriet Tubman's father. We cannot stop here, Biden says Derek Chauvin's murder conviction is impetus for police reform. Barroom fight leaves girls hockey coach dead. Stringer unveils plan for NYC to take active role in growing legal pot industry. The following headlines are from military.com. Man charged after drive-by shooting at National Guard soldiers in Minneapolis. Fort Hood unveils gate, memorial plaque honoring slain soldier Vanessa Giln. U.S. military, 32 of 40 Guantanamo prisoners now vaccinated. Military exchanges set to open to more than 500,000 new shoppers. Lawmakers want to know how U.S. will keep up terrified after Afghanistan pullout. Best Ranger competition, the Army Super Bowl, returns to Fort Benning. Defense Health Agency says it will come up $1.8 billion short on cash due to pandemic. House lawmakers reintroduce bill that would boost access to contraception for military families. 6 days in Fallujah video game aimed to recount one of Iraq War's bloodiest battles. Navy stops sending new recruits to Army training base used during pandemic. The next headlines are from the Chicago Tribune. Column, Derek Chauvin's conviction is a big step toward criminal justice reform, but the blue wall is still standing. Chicago activists and politicians praise guilty verdict in George Floyd murder but differ on what comes next. The Spin, Mayor Lightfoot, Governor Pritzker, Obama UHS and more weigh in on Chauvin guilty verdict. Another round of Prequinkle versus Lightfoot calls for Justice Department to probe Adam Toledo's death. Coronavirus in Illinois updates, state officials see real signs of progress as some COVID metrics improve. 81,963 vaccine doses, 2,587 new cases and 9 deaths reported Tuesday. Some Illinois hospitals are filling up as COVID-19 cases surge, making intensive care unit beds in tight supply. Concordia Place Apartments. If you want a scary story, agriculture, human health and ecosystems at risk as Illinois climate is quickly changing, report shows. What might be ahead for birds, fish and trees facing Illinois changing climate? Chicago activists condemn Lightfoot's National Guard request ahead of Derek Chauvin trial verdict, demand charges be dropped against protesters arrested in Logan Square March. Woman fatally shot outside South suburban grocery store, officials say. The following headlines are from phys.org. Walk the Dinosaur, new biomechanical model shows Tyrannosaurus rex in a swinging gait. Hand washing responsible for bacteria in sinks, largest in-hospital study shows. A future of helpful engineered living machines? New optics on a chip device paves way to capturing fast chemical, material and biological processes. Deregulated U.S. government oversight on interstate waters leaves murky implications for states. Dead clades walking, fossil record provides new insights into mass extinctions. Earthquakes continued after COVID-19 related oil and gas recovery shutdown. Fixed network of smartphones provides earthquake early warning in Costa Rica. Thank you for listening and for staying informed. This audio was produced today, Wednesday, April 21st, in the GMT time zone. The next headlines are from the Seattle Times. China Xi to participate in Biden's climate summit. Australia plans to spend $417 million on hydrogen, carbon capture. Verdict in George Floyd's murder a reckoning, but Seattle activists and leaders say there's more work ahead. Plans, test events change daily for postponed Tokyo Olympics. Arrieta pitches Cubs to 3-1 win over Mets on cool night. Stars beat Red Wings, 5-2, extend win streak to 4 games. Columbus police show video of officer fatally shooting girl. The following headlines are from MercuryNews.com. Alameda police say officers did not use weapons on man who died in custody. Body camera footage exists. Epos announces H3 wired gaming headset as part of next-gen audio peripherals. What's wrong with using a phone while driving if it's hands-free? Roadshow. SF Giants smash 5 home runs, get 2 from Posey to secure series win in Capeller's return to Philly. Tony La Russa's family speaks out, details alarm over work culture at the Animal Rescue Foundation. Critter Corner, getting a hesitant dog comfortable in harness. You can win these cases. Could the Derek Chauvin verdict spur more charges against police? Tonight we celebrate justice. Bay Area reflects on Derek Chauvin verdict. Raiders tweet tone-deaf statement after Chauvin verdict in Floyd's killing. Google hosts YouTube video making false claim about George Floyd. The next headlines are from the Washington Times. Honolulu police won't release footage from shooting of teen. Seoul court rejects sexual slavery claim against Tokyo. William Kelly, Norfolk, Virginia, police officer, fired over Kyle Rittenhouse support donation. Report, Mideast countries top 2020 global executioners list. Reports, police shoot, kill teenage girl in Columbus. Hawaii to begin vaccine passports for travel between islands. Rask, Bruins blank Sabres 2-0 for 5th consecutive victory. Neighbor charged with hate crime after family threatened. AP photos, joy, tears too, calls for change after Floyd verdict. The next headlines are from The Intercept. Progressive groups fight at AT&T Mobile's new texting rules. Wall Street's cookbooks fueled the financial crisis in 2008. It's happening again. This is No Views, daily automated podcast news. You are hearing headlines for Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. Now more. The next headlines are from Eureka Alert. Review summarizes known links between endocrine disruptors and breast cancer risk. 10 ways to ensure bees benefit from the solar power boom. 2D nanomaterial MZine, the perfect lubricant. Simple treatment during pregnancy can protect baby from memory problems in later life. 1 in 5 American adults experience chronic pain. Littlefoot fossil shows early human ancestor clung closely to trees. Beta marketing for a better world. Tiny chip-based device performs ultra-fast modulation of X-rays. Large numbers of regular drug users report increased substance use during COVID-19. The next headlines are from the Chicago Sun-Times. 2 killed in Hammond crash. Illinois officials respond to Chauvin verdict. Justice is being served in Minneapolis today. Adam Eaton to appeal suspension, fine from MLB. Carlos Rodon plows through 5 innings, sets tone for White Sox victory against Indians. Justice was served. State, local officials and Chicagoans react to Derek Chauvin's murder conviction. Chicago fishing, Midwest fishing report, walleye, chinook, smallmouth, largemouth, browns, bowfin, crappie. Teenager seriously hurt in Calumet Heights shooting. Jury in George Floyd's murder trial delivers long-awaited justice. A jury in Minneapolis says Black Lives Matter. Celebrities, sports world react to Derek Chauvin verdict. The feed from the Riverfront Times St. Louis has been removed for putting advertisements in its news RSS feed. Mayor Tishora Jones says she has a dream for St. Louis. ACLU's mobile justice app helps witnesses hold bad cops accountable. The Big Mad, shuttered venues, snow in spring and the Greetons Guilfoyle Hydra Monster. Jane Cannabis Boutique now open in the Del Mar Loop. Turkey keeps sending St. Louis illegal boner medicine. The next headlines are from Detroit Metro. Best Kratom vendors, top verified brands to buy Kratom online. Best sex pills for men, top 7 natural male enhancement supplements of 2021. Ifool reviews, is Ifool Eco OBD2 fuel saver a legit or scam? Does it really work? Revifil reviews, does Revifil hair regrowth formula really work? Customer reviews. Detroit's 2021 Autorama canceled due to Michigan's COVID-19 surge. Virtual event revisits slaying of Detroit's Vincent Chin amid surge of violence against Asian Americans. Tom Barrow to run for mayor of Detroit for 5th time in nearly 4 decades. COVID denier Ted Nugent admits he has COVID-19, I thought I was dying. You are hearing today's news headlines. These headlines are for Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. Now more. The next headlines are from the Houston Press. Derek Chauvin found guilty of murder and killing of Houstonian George Floyd. A real barn burner, the Flamin' Hellcats at Continental Club. The next headlines are about world records making news. 32-member Palestinian family applies for Guinness World Record for practicing karate, Global Times. Evan Dunphy Olympic race walker treadmill world record, Richmond News. Minnesota's Mohawk King attempts second Guinness World Record for tallest hair, Grand Forks Herald. Long Beach teacher wants to turn feeding hungry into world record, Patch.com. 2020 Asian Weightlifting Championships World Records, Barbend. COVID-19 deaths are accelerating, WHO warns, as world records most cases ever in a single week, CNN. West Lothian cyclist puts devastating crash behind him to attempt world record, Daily Record. Joe Mohawk King Grissamore attempts second Guinness World Record, Park Rapids Enterprise. Texas new home selling at a record pace, prices spike, Globe Newswire. Heartland man catches world record spotted car, KFVS. The next headlines are from Gizmodo. As weed becomes more acceptable, weed gadgets are growing up. Watch Mortal Kombat surprisingly emotional first 7 minutes. Terminally ill patients deserve access to general anesthesia, UK doctors say. Batman's in Fortnite now, and he's just as lost as you are. The A to Z of Star Trek's Q. A notorious ransomware gang claims to have stolen Apple's product designs. Here's everything Apple announced during today's big spring-loaded event. Oil's rebound shows the window to protect the climate is closing. Adventure Time, Distant Lands reunites Finn and Jake for one last quest. The podcast war has begun. What place in the world had the hottest and coolest temperatures today? According to ElDoradoWeather.com, the hottest place on Earth in the past 24 hours was N'Djamena in Chad at 113 degrees Fahrenheit or 45 degrees Celsius. The coldest recorded weather temperature on Earth in the past 24 hours was Vostok in Antarctica at minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 70 degrees Celsius. The following headlines are from Ars Technica. Brace yourselves, Facebook has a new mega leak on its hands. Pause of J&J vaccine was the right call, say 88% of polled Americans. Everybody hates Flock, Google's tracking plan for Chrome meds. Grab a pair of recommended Anchor noise-canceling headphones for $68. In evolving to infect mink, SARS-CoV-2's risk for humans changes. EU lawmakers propose strict curbs on use of facial recognition. Apple announces new M1-based iMac in 7 fancy colors. Venmo's new crypto service lets you buy and sell Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin. iPad Pro gets M1 chip, liquid retina mini LED screen. The following headlines are from Raw Story. Former and current presidents celebrate justice for George Floyd, but with Donald Trump it's crickets. Ohio cops chant Blue Lives Matter after colleague shoots and kills teenage girl. Tucker Carlson, public support for George Floyd is an attack on civilization. President of Top Police Union agrees Derek Chauvin conviction was justified. Ohio police shoot and kill teenage girl who called for help just as Derek Chauvin guilty verdict is handed down. Progressives mock pro-Chauvin advocates calling for police walkout with blue flu, okay, bye. Far-right Twitter freaks out over George Floyd's murderer being held accountable. Women for Trump official, they'll riot anyway because they don't want to miss free ticket for a shopping spree. Joe Biden on Chauvin guilt, murder in the full light of day that ripped the blinders off of systemic racism. Fox News host Jeanine Pirro admits she agrees with Derek Chauvin guilty verdicts. The next headlines are from Mother Jones. One guilty verdict doesn't satisfy that appetite for actual change, why Derek Chauvin's trial is not the end of the fight. After Derek Chauvin's guilty verdict, Biden calls on Congress to act on police reform. Nancy Pelosi thanks George Floyd for sacrificing himself by being killed by the police. Derek Chauvin was just found guilty on all 3 counts for murdering George Floyd. Soccer's richest clubs try to create a world where they could never lose. Behold 4/20, which means more than you think. Ahead of Chauvin verdict, Republicans attack a familiar target, a black woman. Social media influencers are spreading wild rumors about COVID-19 vaccines and periods. New coal projects have gotten super expensive to finance. How Brazil's far-right extremists learned from Trump insurrectionists on Parler. The next items are today's top search results for Bigfoot. Sasquatch, 3 takeaways from the new true crime series on the folkloric beast, The Washington Post. The next items are today's top search results for extraterrestrial life. Wet 8 a.m. Shasta County facility helps search for ET, Jefferson Public Radio. Penn State Scranton hosting virtual regional research symposium this week. Penn State University, Penn State News. The following items are today's top search results for the term neural plasticity. How employee volunteering can foster equity and empathy in the workplace, Forbes. Brain on a chip would need little training, Eureka alert. Non-coding RNA's unexpected journey in making memories, Technology Networks. We are nearing the end of this broadcast. This report is for Wednesday, April 21st, 2021 in the GMT time zone. What cities are in that time zone? Well, Reykjavik, Iceland, for one. You might wonder if our server is in Reykjavik. It could be. The following is from the UFO Chronicles. UFO images are real, Pentagon confirms. That's it for now. Thanks for enjoying today's newsfeed headlines. This, indeed, has been a No Views, daily automated podcast newscast for Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. Bookmark us and tune in each day to our free automated podcast to find out what's going on, around, and, sometimes, light years, beyond the Earth. Fair use statement. News8 is a US-based educational not-for-profit news site. We use only parts of content, in transformative ways and without market usurpation. This means you are still going to want to read the original if you are interested in it beyond the headline and any comments we make. We provide links to original sources wherever possible. If you have any copyright concern, please contact us via our About page for immediate remedy. Contact us, Zeno at XENOMAILS 2021 by News8. All rights reserved.